YouTube, welcome to the top 16 where we have banned Poplar in today's event. It is the entire regular Master Duel ban list except Poplar itself. Only Poplar banned. Everything else that's already banned, limited, and restricted, that we are abiding by that completely by watching as long as you can. That greatly supports this video. Hopefully there's not a ton of Snake Eye within the top 16. I don't know the breakdown myself at this moment. So with that said, Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
We're going to start this off with a Wanted Seeker within the main phase, which unfortunately does play into a Droll and Lockbird, but that's okay. Not a lot of people are playing that ever since Super Heavy Samurai has dropped in relevance. We're going to send a card from the hand to come forth, and some of the Diablo Star to set up an Original Sinful from the deck. Original Sinful will no longer be summoning from the deck a Ash to then search for a Poplar within this event because Poplar is banned. We're going to summon a Hydrant instead. Now, with the Hydrant on the field, we're going to use the Airlifter to search an Emergency Alert. Because we control Hydrant, could search for the Turbulence from the deck. Turbulence right here, right now, banishing the graveyard to come forth and summon. We are on our summon number 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of people would have went into SP Little Knight. If this were the TCG, 100% Nicky Boy would have gone into the Little Knight. Why did we not go into Little Knight? Little Knight cheated, but legally, so they did not cheat. They saw that there were no delays, none of their field lighting up whatsoever. So I'm soon gonna have a 1-hour playtest series where I continually showcase to you where I'm reading their hand based off of their delays and field lighting up. So no imperm, no Valor delays whatsoever, telling you that either the opponent is a godlike player hiding those delays or they don't have imperm or Valor and you should instead play around the Nibiru. And that's exactly what we did. Good job, Nicky Boy, exactly how I would have done it on ladder. Now, on the 4th summon, set up with the Turbulence. This is where P-Shift is like, what? How? Where's the Little Knight? Ain't no way you just set up Turbulence under my Nibiru. We're gonna banish from the graveyard to return back into the deck to randomly draw a card. And just like that, now we're gonna see their field light up, but not within the replay, but within the live duel, that's where we're gonna see Nibiru. Oh gosh, I actually played around Nibiru. That was well done. Rescue Ace HQ, going to return 4 cards in the grave and or banish back on the deck to get that draw 1, come to us Impulse. And just like that, at the end of the main phase, Nibiru tribute up the field, but we still have our Contain and Extinguish. So this will result likely within 3 disruptions. We have 3 disruption plus the Ash and the Nibiru, so about 5 ways to disrupt our opponent. Let's go. Now, the great thing about Purrely against Rescue Ace is the Stray Purrely Street will make your newly special summon Purrelys untargetable from their multiple targeting effects. The Preventer, the Contain, the Extinguish, they all target, so 3 of our disruptions tied to being targeting is completely nullified through the Stray Purrely Street. Thus, P-Shift should win this duel, despite them resolving their Turbulence. Will they? Now we're setting up the Purrely Street. The Lily could still be negated. So we have to be the direct chain link to a monster activating on the field to activate the Impulse. We could then follow up contain the Lily, thus negating it. We're actually letting it go through, but we actually can't use Contain because we need to control a Rescue Ace in order to activate it. So was it a huge mistake to not get a Rescue Ace on the field within the draw phase, which our only way to do so would have been through Emergency, thus we would lose the Impulse. So we're no longer actually gonna have the way to use the effect of Preventer. We're just gonna have Contain, we're just gonna have Extinguish, and we just lost our main opportunity to use either of these cards because any newly special summon Purrely is now untargetable. That's it. Extinguish and Contain are dead. Because you added a card with our Fire Attacker, we're gonna draw 2, discard 1, we now have Ghost Spell. Ash Blossom negating the effect of the My Friend Purrely, adding a quick play spell from the deck to our hand, but that's okay, we still have 3 in our hand. What do we do? Is it completely, I mean, we could still Extinguish or Contain in response to its second effect, so correction, it's not completely dead, it's just not as effective as it should have been. This Purrely cannot be at chain 2, we have nothing to use against it, so we are going to now use Lily. Now we can contain the Lily, even though the first effect went through. This is the only card we could target with our card effects. Now, the regular Purrely can become plump, nice and plump, suck up the delicious, then plump could suck up 2 spell and trap cards from either player's graveyard. We're gonna be sucking up the sleepy and pretty. Now, generally, you need to chain the plump to a quick play from your hand to gain that 5th material. We just found a different way to gain that 5th material. That 5th material is gonna be through the Pretty Memory. Through the Pretty Memory, we can send a card we control to the graveyard to suck up a card in the field, giving us 5 materials to summon the X Purrely Nor. Send the Lily, suck up the field spell, and just like that, we are ready. Extinguish on the attack. We cannot use it on the E Purrely Plump, big enough to wipe out the token. We could Zeus or we could X Purrely Nor. X Purrely Nor, of course, is going to be the better play. Unaffected from all activated effects, we're going to equip from the deck or graveyard a Sleepy Memory, giving us the ability to draw 2 cards during the standby phase. Now, we have the ability to spin 3 cards on the field and or in the grave, plus that draw 2. This is looking really good for Purrely. Get ready, get ready. Now, there's a play that Rescue Ace could do. We're going to talk about that in a bit. We're going to draw an Imperm dead, draw into Ash, which is not dead, so we have 3 spin plus Ash for disruption. Rescue Ace inherently has a way to stop the X Purrely Nor. Not definitively, but you could force them into an inefficient play. If you get Impulse on the field and they don't spin it, they're going to spin it on summon, but if they don't, you activate the Impulse to not affect the monster, but affect the player. If the player gets affected by Impulse, they could not activate the X Purrely Nor. So they will chain spin it, Impulse will then chain summon a body from the deck, which will at least eat up 2 materials under the X Purrely Nor, which unfortunately it's at 7 materials, so it will still be unaffected from activated effects. We're going to rescue the Impulse. We're going to spin the Impulse right now before it hits the field, so it would then be able to chain a summon from the deck. We have the Ghost Spell because you're trying to interact with our graveyard. Now, this is dangerous. We cannot activate the X Purrely Nor again. With 5 materials, if we activate again, we will then be affected by something like Contain. And Contain can be used on the X Purrely Nor because it was not newly special summoned this turn, thus it does not have the protection of the straight Purrely Street. We're in big trouble because the Impulse will stop it. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is it. Wait, it got spun back? Ghost Spell? Wait, what the heck happened? Nor, chain, resolve. It's unaffected. it's unaffected. It's unaffected. Okay, we're gonna summon Impulse now. Or not, because you drew into an Ash this turn. We needed the Impulse. Damn, you baited me with the Ghost Spell activation. You almost had it. An Impulse on the field would have done it. We would have been good. Impulse, chain Nor, chain Contain, which it would be affected from the Contain, and you had it. You just had to get to Impulse. Airlifter on summon will be searching for the emergency. Saving your Ash for emergency or the Hydrant could be a good idea here, and we do know that they're going to have access to both. So setting up the original Sinful, which will summon the Hydrant, which will be untargetable from a card like Imperm or Veiler, we are actually going to be stopping the summon of the Hydrant itself. Now, chaining Emergency, the issue with Emergency is on resolution, we have to send a Rescue Ace from our hand or field to the graveyard, and generally you'll have another one on the field to send so that your newly summoned one stays in the field. But that's not the case here, so what the heck are we summoning? Well, it's okay if we summon something that we could then use Alert to grab back, but we're actually going to use Alert to grab back from the graveyard the Lifter, so we send that to the graveyard and not the newly summoned monster. What are we summoning here? Turbulence is here. Even under Nibiru, Ash, and Maxi, we are going to get through with that Turbulence. Lily not being a newly drawn hand trap to stop that Turbulence. Let's set it up. Nibiru is a big card to play around. You're seeing Rescue Ace play around Nibiru more so than Veiler and Imperm. We have Rescue Ace HQ activatable again on the very first turn, which usually is a rare play to do. Grabbing an Effect Veiler here. Now we have so much disruption. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 ways to disrupt the opponent. We got negates, we got pops, we got flip face down, Lily on summon activating Contain, negating the first effect, and also negating the second effect if it were to be activated. It is a hard once per turn, so we're now on 3 disruption here. So ideally we would want to summon another Lily within our plays so that we could go through and activate the second effect to Xyz using the graveyard. Veiler being our second out of 4 disruptions here negates the Purrely. Now, what you could do, if the Mad Lad was not flipping up the Extinguish, you could Xyz into something that would be able to turn into a Zeus. So fearing that, we're going to extinguish the Purrely early. Wipe it out. And now we have 1 disruption left, which would be Emergency Summon Preventer, Rescue Reborn, then Preventer flip a card in the field face down. We have the My Friend Purrely. My Friend Purrely, reveal 3 quick play cards, grab one of them randomly to our hand here, activate the Pretty Memory to come forth and summon the Lily. The first effect is already activated, but the second effect has not yet been activated. We now have E Purrely Happiness, which has the ability to search our deck But if we flip it face down, it ain't searching. It must, within the damage step, search. It has to attack. Max C, in response to the emergency, send the Turbulence, trigger, activate the rescue, come forth reborn, back the Turbulence, and we are now ready to get flipping. Flip that fool face down. Very nicely done. And just like that, Purrely has been thwarted. They just have Ash, they have Max C. Max C within the standby phase. What can we do here? Rescue Ace HQ. Does Ash even bother negating this? It does not. We're going to Turbulence, set up 4 cards in the deck. Now, one of them will be activated with the turn they're set if we can get a Hydrant on the field. We're going to further link this up into a Nightmare Phoenix on summon, discard a card, pop a back row card, wiping out that back row, my friend Purrely. We're going to use the original Sinful to attempt to search our deck for a Hydrant, as the Ash Blossom will negate. No search for you, mate. Now, without the Purrely Street or the My Friend Purrely, the Purrely Happiness is not going to be triggering those cards for recursion, recycling cards in the graveyard back to our hand. But because you battled into it, it still gets at least 1 search. Nicely done. Searching our deck for the Purrely Delicious Memory, which is limited to 1. That's how good it is. My Friend Purrely activate. Reveal 3 Purrely cards, randomly adding 1 to our hand here, grabbing exactly what we wanted, which was the Pretty Memory. We're going to come forth and summon our Lily. Lily on summon, activate. If we finger the Lily in the grave, the 1 on the field will be fully negated. And just like that, Rescue Ace taking a Game 2 victory. All right, boy, P-Shift, every game, Nibiru in the opening hand. A horrible turn 1. No quick play spells whatsoever. The triple tactics talent dead, double field spell. So through just the Nibiru and the Ash Blossom. Now, unfortunately, I do expect Ash to be used early within the main phase, which would then enable the tactics talent to look at the hand, getting rid of that Nibiru, thus then potentially enabling lethal for game. Maybe. Can we go for game? Airlifter. We're going to chain the Fire Engine to it. This is going to be searching our deck for the emergency, likely. There is the emergency. Now, with the emergency, that is when the Ash will likely be negating, or the original Sinful. Now, this is not looking good for P-Shift. So many big bodies in the field, just like that. Under 4 summons, not even playing into an Ash Blossom, nor a Nibiru, no triple tactics talent needed, just like that. Damn, Purrely, why? Why did this happen? That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Is there a scenario where it's correct to go second as Purrely? Because even if we can't disrupt the Turbulence, if we could get that 1 Purrely streak going, we have a really good turn 2. But I think even with that, going first is too good to pass up. Unfortunately, we just bricked it up. P-Shift, you have been eliminated. Rescue Ace is now advancing. Lubellion activating to search our deck. We could Ash this, but we choose to not do so. We're going to set up the Branded Regained, activate our Slumber to come forth and summon our Huggin. Huggin on summon will discard a card to then search our deck for nothing, as the Imperm negates the search of the field spell. Did not use Ash. Held on to the Ash for something better. Got double Imperm Ash and the Nibiru. We're going to trigger the effect of the Sereneer, sending from the deck to the grave a Lubellion Magna Hut, banishing from the graveyard to come forth and summon, triggering the Regain to return the banished card back in the deck to draw 1, Magna Hut to Chainlink block the Regain from being ashed, which you likely would not do for a draw 1. Okay, come back, randomly draw, further showconning this up into an SP Little Knight, which will help play around Nibiru if we were to summon another body to then banish it in response to Nibiru being activated. Now, we do not have the field spell, but we have Freezing Curses in the back row plus SP Little Knight as our main forms of disruption, and I still have no idea what Shadow is playing, drawing even more hand traps, banishing from the graveyard to come forth and summon the Baldrake, triggering the Regain to return back into the deck to then draw 1 card. To battle we go. We cannot battle because we activated a Runic card. It's Scareclaw, or is it Mannadium? I don't know. Shadow was still. Turn 5, I don't know what deck you're playing. We do have a battle phase because we have not used a Runic card. Within the battle phase, the Runic tip is going to be negated. We're going to chain Little Knight, banishing itself, plus the Baldrake to open up the extra monster zone. Thus, we could use another Runic card to summon Huggin, and then we could play around Effect Veiler in the main phase by activating within the battle phase, or not, which would then Huggin search. We have Imperm negating the Quem, which would send an Albaz card from the deck to the graveyard. Also, its other trigger effect is also negated, which would be reborning an Albaz monster from the grave. We're going to follow up with the Smiting Storm, summoning our Hugin on summon, discard a card, search our deck for the field spell. Finally, we have the Runic Fountain. Runic Fountain backed up by the Curses. Curses we may not save for negating. We may use it right here, right now to summon a level 4 non-tuner to synchro with the Coral Dragon. That's exactly what we do to trigger the Runic Fountain, to return 3 in the grave, back in the deck to draw 3. Now we have Flash Fire, which we have traded in with our Curses, which could destroy a special summon monster. We have Baron de Flor. Coral, when sent to the grave, draw a card here. Nibiru activating at the end of the main phase. Baron de Flor, negate. Now, with the Flash Fire triggering the Runic Fountain, how many cards will we be drawing? 3. So we have Destroy a Special Summon, draw 3. We have Little Knight, banish a monster. The Baron de Flor is already activated. We do have Ash Blossom. We do have the Call by the Grave, which may not be a form of disruption here. Bruh, Shadow, what are you doing? What is this deck? I'm gonna look at your extra deck. I'm gonna do it. Too late, you surrendered. Huh. You're playing 40 cards, right? I didn't check. Activating our Peaceful Planet to then search for a royal version of the Reinhardt. Take a nice little gander there, get that finger out of here, as we then Baron de Flor, wipe up the Baldrake, opening up the field, end the turn. We have Omni negate, pop a card in response to its activate. 5 disruptions plus max C. What can we do? Quem is here. That's going to be pop number 1, disruption number 1. We're going to chain Runic Dispelling, which could be a Hugin, which could protect our monster from being destroyed. We're not being negated right now, we're only being destroyed. Do we protect ourselves from destruction? Let's see. Hugin. Do we banish or trigger Hugin for the field spell? Pop. Hugin. Protect. Very well done. Quem is going to stay, sending from the deck to the grave the Golden Sword Soul, triggering the Quem from the summon of the Hugin to reborn the Sword Soul from the graveyard. Regained also going to be triggering, protecting the Quem from being negated by the Baron de Flor. Baron de Flor negating the ability to draw 1. Negate. We have 3 more disruption with the Apollo. Quem also dodging the Apollo by being chain linked by the Branded Regained, as we then draw into a Nibiru. So we now have from 3 disruption to 4. Baguska, which does not stop Apollo USA. Stopping the monsters that had already activated, but that's enough for us. Now back to Mannadium. Does this at least eat up our battle phase? No, it does not. We're going to use the field spell with that 3 monsters on the field that are in defense. We're going to pop the Baguska. Slumber will protect it from destruction once this turn. Banishing off the top of the deck in order to resolve it. Reimaginings is going to be draw 2 after revealing to then return Nibiru back in the deck. Reinhardt is negated by Baguska. Arrival, reborn from the graveyard. We need a Link monster to deal with that Baguska. The best Link monster will be the Access Code Talker. Link monsters cannot go into defense, thus the Baguska is dead. Banished from the graveyard. Wait, you are 3,300? Why didn't you target the Apollo, mate? What was that? That is BM Shadow with lethal damage, taking out the Baguska, taking a Game 2 victory. Did you, maybe in your brain, you were thinking you were activating the effect to banish and pop, so you did not target Apollo for an even bigger boost? Not that it mattered. We have Nibiru and Ash. When do we Ash? I think ashing a Hugin would be good, but if we know you're saving the Ash for the Hugin, we chain link block it with the Quem. That's exactly what we're gonna do here. Chain link 1, chain link 2, no Ash for the Hugin for you. So we now have to think about when Nibiru will be good. We're on summon number 3. Summon number 4. And summon number 5 will be able to negate Nibiru. Baron de Flor on the 5th summon, just like that, Nibiru negated. Setting up the Runic Fountain, attempting to end our turn. Baron de Flor will be forced to negate. Thus, its once while face-up negate is now gone. But if you use a card like SP Little Knight to banish her temporarily until the end phase, she comes back with her negate intact. We do just have the Curses, which will be able to negate a monster in the field and draw 3. So that's pretty good. Sending an Ecclesia from the deck to the grave through the effect of the Quem being reborn with the effect of the Baron de Flor during the standby phase. We have right card searching for an Arrival. This one finger is that 1 Curses. When do we negate? We're going to trigger the Quem to reborn from the grave the Ecclesia. Curses negating the Light Heart. This was a debate. Since we already have the field spell mate, we fell for it. But this will still trigger the field spell to draw 3. If the Ash does not negate, unless we have a way to chain link block the Fountain. Fountain is going to be the only thing activating here, thus the Ash will be able to fully negate. No draw 3 for you, mate. If you're going to Ash negate my field spell, then you're not going to be able to negate the Maxi, and we do have the finger to negate the Ash. Just like that, negate the feat. Draw 3 into more disruption, potentially. What are we drawing into? We are drawing into, we already used curses. We have Flash Fire, and we have the ability to pop a field spell. Pop that field spell, stop the search. No search for a Scareclaw for you. No Rykart, which you very much wanted here. And now we have the Flash Fire to get poppin'. Pop a special summon monster. Arrival, reborn the Rykart, so we still have access to it. And we're going to right then and there get rid of it. And that completely ended our turn. The Samsara we didn't want to summon, or we're not able to. The Reimagining's not activatable. And just like that, that is it. Taking game number 3, Runic Bestial wins it. Begin. Ariana on summon, going to be negated by the effect. Veiler, no search for a Labrynth card for you. We really want to get the transaction rollback into the graveyard, which we could do through the Chandelier. Chandelier, send the transaction rollback, which could copy another trap in the grave. We have the big Welcome Labrynth ready to be used during the opponent's turn. The disruptors we have, we could turn this into the ability to pop a card in the field. We could use the punishment to pop 2 cards in the field. So we have about 2 to 3 disruptions here. Let's do it. Special summoning the Terratop, which will be, without committing to our normal summon, a 1-card rank 3 Xyz into Mirage Stalio. Mirage Stalio will be able to summon from the deck nothing as the big welcome attempts to disrupt it. We have the Ash Blossom negating the big welcome, which is the big counter to the deck, but that's why we have the transaction rollback to copy the effect again. First, we're going to use the Dogmatica punishment instead, wiping out the Mirage Stalio, sending a Kit Kalos to then activate to mill 5 cards off the top of our deck. What the heck is this? Kit Kal in Labrynth. That will trigger the Ariana to draw 1 card, Chandelier to add from the graveyard back to our hand, mill 5 off the top of the deck. We now have Trap Trick and another Dogmatica punishment, plus the Butler in the grave. If you activate a card in response to a Labrynth card, the Butler will add from the graveyard back to the field, I believe it is. And now we have Balinx. Balinx is here on summon, search our deck for the field spell. We have the Gazelle also triggering off of a Salamangreat being sent to the graveyard to come forth and summon. Come to us, Sanctuary. Gazelle sending from the deck to the grave a Spinny, which could reborn from the graveyard. We're now going to use the transaction rollback, copy the effect of the Dogmatica punishment, send an Entis to take out the Gazelle, to then further wipe out the Balinx, completely ending their turn, not even going into a big Welcome Labrynth play. We're going to be sending the Druid Swarm through the effect of the Chandelier. We're going to be setting up a Welcome Labrynth here through the effect of the Coup Clock, making a newly set trap activatable. Within your end phase, you are maxing, chaining to a Labrynth card, triggering the Butler to come forth and summon itself onto the field before the maxi resolves. And now we are summoning from the deck a lovely Labrynth. Do we get why the deck is hated yet? What do y'all think? Just like that, Murasaki scoop in game number 1. Cynet Mining. What do we have here? We have Torby, which could discard a card to set up a trap, but it will only be activatable during the next turn. Thus, we have no disruption whatsoever. So what is the big play that Salamangreat can perform here? So the only thing that was sus here was searching the Jack Jaguar with no way to get it into the grave. Otherwise, what we have, I have to read the Meow Mine real quick. If a Link monster or on the field or in either graveyard, you could special summon this from the hand. We're not doing that. If a Link 2 you control is sent to the graveyard or banished, you could banish this from the graveyard to then target 1 card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So, Link 2, okay, we Promethean, the Sunlight Wolf, we could then return a card in the field back to the hand. We have Promethean to pop a card. Now, the Pyro Phoenix will be activatable due to the Code of Soul, which states it's going to destroy all cards your opponent controls. If they set up a ton of back row, the Pyro Phoenix will wipe the entire field of back row cards plus monsters. So it's triple disruption. The Sprint's not really going to be much. We do have an Ash Blossom also, so about 4 disruption is what I'm counting. We have the Ariana searching for a Butler. Butler will be discarding to set up a trap to make it activatable the turn it was set. We have Trap Trick activating to set up a Daruma Cannon. Daruma Cannon must flip down at least the Ariana, then send the entire opposing field to the grave. Ain't no way, we just lost everything. What the? Meow Mine being triggered to return the Ariana on the field back into the hand. Now, the Promethean Princess will still be activatable because we have Gazelle. So on special summon, we will pop the Gazelle plus an opposing card, setting up the Dogmatica Punishment, then ending. What do we have here? Gazelle into attack, setting up the Will of the Salamangreat, which will only reborn 1 body, where otherwise it reborn 4 when targeting the linked over Salamangreat Raging Phoenix. We're going to be summoning a Salamangreat, a Great Fire, onto the opposing side of the field to trigger the Promethean Princess to reborn from the grave, popping 2 cards on the field to trigger the other Raging Phoenix from the graveyard to then use the other effect of the Promethean Princess to reborn a monster from the grave. And just like that, 12,600 damage on the field. We have a Bale Links in the graveyard, which could protect one of our cards from being destroyed, but I believe it is only a Salamangreat card. Sending the Tri-Brigade Arms, taking out the Promethean Princess, still 9,900 damage on the field, triggering the Welcome Labrynth to set itself onto the field, sending Garura to draw a card. What can we draw into? Nothing we could draw, and just like that, 9,900 damage for game. Raging Phoenix reborning itself from the grave is nuts. Where are the Snake Eye Mad Lads? Well, with Poplar banned and nothing else hit, Snake Eye is nowhere to be seen. Well, Rescue Ace is still playing, and also it's interesting to see how good is Diablo Star if Poplar's banned. Are we seeing a lot of Diablo Star within people's decks, or Diablo Star is directly tied to how good Poplar is? Are you ready? Mannadium versus Branded Despia, begin. Glory of the Horse, I'm set. He's going to be grabbing the King Sark plus drawing a random card here. King Sark is now ready to activate up to 4 times to discard a card, sending a horse card from the deck to the grave. First reborning our I'm Seti, sending a Happy, then reborning the Happy, as you then Shokan into a Photon Lord on our 3rd summon without committing to our normal summon, thus countering a Nibiru, if there were to be one. So if you hate Nibiru, you could play Horus, but then you'll hate Maxi even more because Maxi will keep the horse in check. What we have here is we have Ash to negate, Imperm negate, Photon Lord negate a monster, Brucalos to negate a special summon. That's 4 disruptions I am counting, and let's go. Gold Sark from Branded Despia, banishing from the deck a Mercurier, which will activate to grab an Albaz monster from the deck, which will be our Quem. Quem on normal summon, activating to get negated by the Impermanence. Chaining Super Poly to the Impermanence to dodge the Impermanence, to fuse with the field. Brucalos cannot respond to the Super Poly, fusing with the Photon Lord and the Quem, thus we lose the disruption of the Photon Lord. All we have left is the Ash and the Brucalos. Imperm onto nothing, thus we don't even negate the column. We're going to send from the deck to the grave a Branded Fusion, add back with the Retribution, but then unfortunately there is an Ash Blossom waiting to negate. We're going to use Brucalos Mate instead of the Ash Blossom, negate the activation of that card. Now, by negating the activation of the Branded Fusion, if you have a way to add it back from the grave to the hand through something, let's say a Tragedy, activate Tragedy. If you can get into the grave with the Foolish Burial, then with the set Branded Fusion, activate it again. It would be a legal activation to use it again. That's why you would possibly want to use something like Ash Blossom instead to negate the effect and not the activation. Thus, the second activation of the Branded Fusion would not be legal. But we're probably going to negate the Foolish Burial, right? Brucalos being triggered to reborn itself back onto the field. Cross Sheep being triggered. Ash Blossom negating the Cross Sheep from reborning from the grave. Not happening. Chat being dumb. What's good? My play of what you could do is we did not negate. So we're going to have to negate the Branded Fusion with the Ash. Tragedy, set the Branded Fusion. I'm so happy this is happening. I'm sure I've said this 1,000 times and people are like, what is he talking about? This is, your eyes do not deceive you. I keep on saying this. Branded Fusion's being activated twice and once per turn because the activation was negated, not the effect. Effect negate, activation negate, it is separate, mate. Let's go. Ash, negate the second activation of Branded Fusion. Negate. Now, the opening requires us to discard a card to use it, so that's not going to be good. We're going to reduce the cross sheep to 0, swing over that Mad Lad, now back on over to Vinci. And there's another important thing to note here. The Root Kalos is different than it was before. Root Kalos was fusion summoned. Now Root Kalos is special summoned. So when this fusion summon card is sent to the grave, it reborns, it's no longer going to reborn. We have Ash off the top of the deck. Oh my gosh, the Horus. This is why people hate Horus. What the heck was that? From the graveyard, Happy and I'm Seti into a zombie vampire out of freaking nowhere. Mill 4 cards off of both players' decks. We did not trigger any Tearlaments, unfortunately. We are going to be reborning the right card. Also, Triva Karma searching our deck for a Vsauce card, which could be a Tearlament field spell if it's not in grave or banished. I think we milled it earlier. I'm not sure on that. Yeah, we did. It is in the grave. We're going to be reducing the entire opposing field of non-fusion monsters to 0 attack as the Root Kalos wipes out the Quiritis. Now, Retribution, recycling the Branded Fusion in the graveyard back to our hand, but we have that Ash Blossom ready to negate. We also have the Meta Noise to flip a card in the field face down. Root Kalos also for a special summon negate. We have about triple disruption mates. Got Finger for the Ash. Oh my gosh, off the top of the deck. What are we doing here? Ooh, wow. I mean, we would have had to... We're going to discard the Called By or the Branded Fusion. The Root Kalos negating this actually helps out Westery. So now the Ash will properly be fingered. And damn, just like that, we actually can't use the Meta Noise now. Meta Noise requiring yourself to control a Tearlament. So Meta Noise will no longer flip down and trigger a fusion. Ash will get fingered by the Called By Finger. Negate. We have no other play. I think that is true. The Root Kalos is not reborn because it's not fusion summoned. We have no tier for the Meta Noise. The Ash is now fingered. It's open field. It's open season. We have nothing in the hand for discarding for our Lubellian Dragon, so we're going to summon an Albion instead. Come forth Albion on summon, banish from the graveyard, as we then come forth and Shokan into our Mirror Jade with a non-target monster banish. To battle we go within the battle phase, sending a Titanclad, banishing the zombie vampire off the field, wiping out the right card, open field for 2,500 damage, not enough for lethal, and the Mirror Jade will not be activatable again. So what other disruptions will we be setting up here as the Lubellian sends the Albion to the grave to set up a Branded Lost. We have the Titanclad summoning a Quem, which will trigger the Lost only if we were to perform a fusion summon. So how do we trigger that Lost? Well, through the effect of the Albion, we're going to trigger the Lost. We're going to set up a way to fusion summon during the opponent's turn. Then we're going to search for Mercurier for a monster negate. So we don't have any forms of disruption yet. We now do with the Branded Banishment. So let's talk about this real quick. We have the Branded Banishment, which will fuse with either side of the field. As we reborn from the grave, it will banish the materials, so it's not going to be good to use it with Mirror Jade because you want the Quem to reborn the Mirror Jade if it's sent to the graveyard. And that will trigger the Lost to grab a Mercurier. And we also have the Quem, which could trigger to reborn an Albaz to fuse with the opposing field. So we have about triple disruption. If we have a way to reborn the Mirror Jade by getting it into the graveyard, that will be 4 disruption. Let's go. So 3 to 4 disruption. And if the banishment itself is disruption, it's like 4 to 5 disruption. So we'll be at 4. Branded Banishment, targeting the Albion to reborn, then fuse with either side of the field here. So this will be fusing with ourselves to make the Dragostapelia. So Dragostapelia, searching for Mercurier, Quem reborn. So we have about 3 disruption here. Not searching for Mercurier, so we're now down to 2 disruption. Dragostapelia can negate a monster on the field. To battle we go. Dragostapelia is going to be putting a counter onto the Happy. Now, that screws it up. We can't rank 8 Xyz in main phase 2 because it's now level 1. It actually did something. The King Sark is going to be triggering at the start of the damage step to send the Quem to the graveyard. So our forms of disruption are nothing, and we can't even rank 8 Xyz. Setting up the Sulliek instead of sending a 3rd horse from the deck to the grave, which we maybe only play Happy and I'm Seti. That is an issue here. Now, the glory of the horse I'm Seti will trigger if one of our cards leave the field that is not itself to then send a card on the field to the graveyard. But if you deal with the I'm Seti, then the Happy will trigger, it is not negated, to return 2 cards in the graveyard and are banished back to our hand. So what is the play? The Mirror Jade is now activatable again. We have the Gold Sark done ticking to grab back the Banished Mercurier for another disruption. So we have Banish with the Mirror Jade. We have Negate with the Mercurier. We're going to come forth and summon from the deck our Fallen of Albaz to fuse with the Imseti. Now, this is when the Happy would activate if it weren't for the branded loss, disallowing you from responding in response to a fusion summon, so the Happy is no good. Happy ain't happy. Lubellion discarding the Mercurier, branded loss going to activate to search our deck. Within the window of you not being able to respond to our fusion summon, we're going to banish your Happy off the field. And just like that, 6,700 damage on the field, but the Lubellion cannot declare an attack if it is fusion summoning. So we may be using it for fusion summon. We are not. We are summoning a Borload Furious, but there's only 1,500 damage on the field. What are we doing? We don't have to pop any of the back, or we're just triggering effects. We now have a Tearlament Kashtira, which is summonable. At the end of the main phase, banish from the grave, come forth and summon, which then also turns on the Meta Noise. Meta Noise can now flip a card on the field face down. We had nothing, but they just had to hit the wrong card, the Sulliek, to add the Tearlament Kashtira, enabling the Meta Noise and giving us the ability to block. Meta Noise will not only flip face down, but it will also trigger a fusion summon. Oh my gosh. Sending 3 off the top of the deck, Meta Noise within the battle phase, flip down the Mirror Jade, send a Havnis, we had game, oh no! Returning Rukal and Havnis to make a Kaleido Heart, also returning the Rhino Heart on summon, spin a card in the field, back into the deck, wiping out the Tearlament Kashtira. We had definitive lethal, but oh my gosh. By Meta Noise flipping down the Mirror Jade that had already activated that turn, that reset its soft once per turn effect to activate again by flipping it back up because it was not summoned that turn, nor did it change its battle position that turn. It's gonna banish the Kaleido Heart off the field. You go. Damn. Okay, we're back in control. We're back. We're good. Brand White's no good. That's not gonna be a form of disruption. We're gonna add a Branded in High Spirits. The Mirror Jade had already activated. We have no disruption. So what is good? The horse cards are continually recycling. We actually do have another form of disruption through the Rinbrum. We could use the Rinbrum to reborn the Albaz and then fuse the opposing fields. Come forth, Albaz. On summon, discard a card, fuse with the Glory of Horus. We could still summon Happy if it were not banished, but it is. Do we have another copy of Happy in the deck that we could discard with the King of Sarcophagus? We're going to instead, with the Tearlament Rhino Heart, on summon, send from the deck to the grave, a fusion trigger. We're going to use the Blazing Cartesia to fuse into a Gangrenol. This is not a form of disruption here. Havnis, activate, come forth, and fuse mate. Gangrenol triggering to send a card to the deck, or from the deck, or action next to the grave, which will be the Garura to trigger to draw a card here. Fusion Shokan into Kid Cal. Kid Cal on summon, search our deck for any Tearlament card. Can also send a Tearlament card from the deck to the grave to trigger another fusion play. What can Garura draw into? Not a disruptive hand trap. Searching for the Tearlament Scream, set it up to now mill 8 or mill 10, right? Tearlament Kashtira is going to be reborn to on summon mill 3, mill 3, mill 5. The math, that's mill 11. 11 cards being milled with our 22 card deck. Mill 5. We have Fairy Tale Snow in the grave now. Mill additional 3, 11 cards milled, triggering the Sharon. We're going to activate the Moo Dragon, declaring dark, so our dark monsters will not be targetable. Sharon returning itself, and the Kit Cal to come forth and summon our Rukalos. I cannot believe this Tearlament comeback. This is wild. Banishing from the grave to come forth and summon a Vicious Ashalaud on summon to destroy a fusion monster, which will be protected by the Branded Opening, banishing instead. Mirror Jade will be activated to wipe out the entire opposing field during the end phase of this turn. So the Rukal will resummon. The Tearlament Kashtira will mill 2. And then we're just going to have Rukal with the ability to negate and affect a special summon. Mill 2, Rukal reborn, come forth and summon. If we negate and affect a special summon, which we actually can't negate, because this negates the activation, it says, negate the activation, the Branded Loss states, the activation of your fusion cards cannot be negated. So this is no good. Main phase 1, we're going to Albion, send from the deck to the grave to draw 1. Magna Hut, this is something we could negate, but why should we negate? We have the Fairy Tale Snow, which is about to be banished by the Magna Hut, a very good top deck off of that draw 1, forcing out the Fairy Tale Snow banish to summon, triggering the Scream to mill cards off the top of the deck. What the heck is that? A barrier statue of the Torrent. Ain't no way. Now, despite not being able to negate a fusion summon, we tried to do it anyway. You know, why not? And come forth Mirror Jade. So the Root Callus is not sending itself to the graveyard because it negates the activation, and if you do destroy it, then you send a Tearlament. So not only did you not negate the activation, you also didn't destroy it. So because you didn't negate, and then also because you didn't destroy, you still keep your Root Callus. We're going to be searching for a Fallen of Albaz, Cartesia, come forth and summon, Kit special summon, which is what the Root Cal could have negated, but then you would have lost your Root Callus. Crazy back and forth duel. A duel that Brandon had lethal damage with. What the hell? How is this game not over yet? What? We have 3 cards left in the extra deck. We have an Albion Sanctifier, Borlord Furious, and a Verte Anaconda. Goodbye to the Root Callus. As it was not fusion summoned, it is not reborning itself from the grave. We have Vinci with 6 cards left in their extra deck. Kit Cal at the top, Trisukta, Crimson Dragon, Dispater. We are scooping it up as we could do nothing with the newly drawn Meek, taking this into a game 2. How do we not time out in game 2? This is crazy. What the hell? Tearlament Scream, Sharon is here. A really good negate with the Ash Blossom. Negate that Sharon summon. So now we're gonna have to normal summon the Sharon to trigger the Scream to randomly mill 3 and then end our turn. Oh, we got the Rhino Heart to send the Sharon to come forth and summon to send another card from the deck to the grave. Select to also search your deck for another Tearlament. We are popping off of that random mill 3. Let's do it. This is where Y3 gets pissed. I would be pissed. We stopped the Sharon, and the gambled mill 3 just worked out. Come forth, Kid Kalos. Kid Cal and summon, searching for a Grief. Grief, not a Sulliek. Oh, Sulliek's limited to 1. Why is it limited to 1? We can't add the Sulliek Engraved to our hand. Trisukta Reborn, the level 2 tuner from the graveyard. Shokan into a Vsauce Amortira to search our deck for a Vsauce card, which will be the Meta Noise to flip a card in the field face down to then trigger a fusion. We got the Light Heart. Let's speed this up. Searching for the Scareclaw field spell. Look at this field. The Crime is not activatable unless we have a body in our hand. We have a way to trigger a body in the hand. Meta Noise can send from the deck to flip a card face down to then trigger a fusion in a form of double disruption. If a card gets banished, Chang Ying will banish. Root Callus will negate a special summon. Dispater will destroy a monster in response to it activating. The Baron de Flor will negate anything. The Reframing will negate anything. We have about 7 disruption with maybe the Crime turning on within that turn. Let's go. 7 disrupt. We do have Harpy Feather Duster and Super Poly. That's something. Harpy Feather Duster activate to wipe out the back row mate. Baron de Flor negate. Now down to 6 disruption. All right. What do? To battle phase we go. Within the battle phase, Super Polymerization to fuse the Pater and the Root Callus to make a Dragostapelia. Now the Root Callus, if sent to the grave while fusion summoned, could trigger to reborn. So it's going to come back on the field, triggering the Scream to mill 3. So that disruption is back. Scream trigger. Cross Sheep also trigger, reborning from the graveyard. Y3 is out of here. No way. All right, let's go to game 3. We're gonna Quem, send from the deck. This is where the game's asking them to use Ash. We hold on to the Ash to be Ash. The grass, we're gonna use Maxi instead, holding the Ash. As the Ash negates the Maxi, Ash Blossom is saving herself for the branded fusion. Do not let the grass eat your Ash, save it. Off the top of the deck, let's see off of the dual log here. It should look a little bit better. Okay, that really sucked. Holy moly, nothing activatable in the graveyard. We're passing with just a Quem on the field. Wow, that was horrible. All right, and do we have a Harpy Feather Duster that's dead? Let's speed this up. All right, you know what? Let's flame on for them. Let's flame on. Let's go. This is it. Mannadium. One ball, one pop, two ball. Reborn 2 balls into the field. Trisakta activate to Reborn from the grave. Quem's going to Reborn from our graveyard a Cartesia, which is not going to really turn into Disruption here. It's going to summon a Gangrenol, which could send a card from the deck to the grave, which will maybe sending a Garura to draw into a hand trap. Yes, hand trap. Nope, we did not draw into something like a Max C. Vsauce Amatera grabbing the Tearlament field spell, further linking this up into a Lightheart, activating to search for a Scareclaw field spell. Field spell, searching for the Vsauce Starfrost. Field spell again, searching for a Tearlament Rhino Hearts. Obsidian banished a special summon from the hand. Our Rhino Heart sending from the deck to the grave, Sharon. Sharon activate Diffusion Shokan with our hand in grave, making our Kick Cow. Kick Cow on summon, plus the field spell, pop a card in the field, but the Gangrenol will dodge it as the Ash will then negate it. Grabbing a Grief from the deck, Vsauce Starfrost popping the Kick Cow to mill 5 off the top of the deck. Trivikarma banishing to search our deck for a Vsauce card. We have Crime, but shouldn't we just win this turn? We have Baron to floor with 3,500 damage on the field. Grief to summon a Hovness, and then send the Hovness, and then trigger the Hovness to then fuse with the Kick Cow to come forth and summon our Root Kalos. 7,000 damage on the field, banishing from the grave to come forth and summon Vicious Astrolabe to take out the Quem with now over 11,000 damage on the field just like that. Tearlament, Mannadium, wiping out Brain of Despia. Nicely done. Very nicely done. Good job, Mannadium Tearlament. We have the Mega Chirella to discard a card and sending itself to the grave to come forth and summon from the deck, which will get negated by the Ash Blossom, playing into a Gamma, but no Gamma in sight, unfortunately. We have Double Evolution Pill, banishing from the graveyard a non-Dino plus Dino to summon an Ultimate Conductor Tyranno to then trigger the Giant Rex to summon from the banishment pile. But that's going to end our turn. The Ultimate Conductor Tyranno could flip the entire opposing field face down, but the Imperm could negate. Imperm negates. We should do that in the draw phase in case they have Miscellaneous Source to make it unaffected, but I mean, we know they don't have it because they would have used it on the other turn, but still. Negate. Now, we got the Tattoo to special summon onto the field to pop itself, which the Ash will negate from sending up to 3 cards in the deck to the grave. And that's the end of Memento. Memento just got Mementoed, and yep, okay. Wipe out the Giant Rex. Now, the Ultimate Conductor Tyranno could pop the Baby Source to flip down the Tattoo to then go off from there, but the Ash can negate. So I think we are reliant on our newly top-decked card, which will be another Baby. Double Baby. Pop the Baby, flip down, trigger the Baby, Ash, negate. No Baby summon for you. And we could send the Tattoo to the graveyard, burn for 1,000, then we could Tattoo again from the hand. But if we attempt to summon Tattoo from the hand, we could pop the Baby to flip it face down. So that Ultimate Conductor Tyranno is locking us down. Flip it down, just like that. Pop the Baby, trigger the Baby, summon from the deck, Ovi, Raptor, grabbing ourselves a Miscellaneous Source. Now, Nibiru generally really good for ending someone's turn, but not so good against Miscellaneous. Miscellaneous making all our Dinos unaffected from that Nibiru, so even if we get to our 5th summon, completely unaffected for all the Dinos on the field. Let's speed this up. Pop Petite, summon from the graveyard, trigger the Petite to summon from the deck, the Xenometeorus. We have Dolka to now negate the Nibiru. Meteorus pop the Baby to summon a Frostosaurus. We have Miscellaneous Source as we now have the Lars, which can negate up to 2 cards on the field, but not from the hand. We're going to set up into the back row our Leos. Singularity, Dolka very easily negating up to twice per turn as long as you have the materials. Negate. And we scooping it up. So we had that chance, unfortunately did not go through. The Ultimate Conductor Tyranno and the Ash Blossom keeping Mementos in check. We do get to go first for game 2, though. Please, Kaido, Cook, show us why you're in the top 16. Anguich, gonna grab the horse as the Ash negates. Called by the Grave Finger, the Fool. Negate. Now, let's fully play this out. What can Memento do? We're going to use the Memento field spell to set up into the back row a Fractured Dance. This card is interesting. I don't use it myself, but I'm not going to knock it. you have the ability to target a card in the field and destroy it. So, and then if you control the combined creation, pop an additional card, so pop 2. And what else does this do? When attack is declared involving a memento, you can banish this card from the graveyard. All the opponent's monsters lose 1,000 attack, so that's something. So we have a pop 2, we have negate 5, so that's 7 disruption through just the traps. We also have the Little Knight, which could banish in response to a card effect, so that's 8 disruption. We have Ash Blossom to make it 9 disruption, and I think you could kind of, it's extended. Okay, we have 10 disruption because the Anguish could search for a Mason and steal an opponent's monster. 10 disruption. Let's go. Wow. This is my problem playing Memento. I don't get to use any of my disruption if my opponent does not max see me on turn 1. So I generally, just for the highlight, if they max see me, I won't negate it. I take the max see challenge because it's my only opportunity to go up into and use those around 10 disruptions you set up with Mementos. Triple Tactics talent is good against Mementos. You take control of the combined creation, they then cannot negate with the trap. Grabbing the ground Xeno, okay. I was double reading the Cranium Burst. Can't target your opponent's combined creation if they were to take control of it to negate. Xeno Meteorus, in response to a card being destroyed, is going to be special summoning. We're then going to be summoning our Baron de Flor, my new favorite Dino boss monster, banishing from the graveyard with the Miscellaneous to then summon a baby, to then pop the baby with the Baron de Flor, to then trigger the baby to summon an Oviraptor to search for another baby. We have not used up the normal summon. Archosaur on summon, pop the baby to search for a second copy of the Double Evolution Pill. Triggering baby again to summon from the deck a Petite, Baron de Flor, negate Nibiru. Negate. Now, let's further make our plays. Negate and destroy, unfortunately, making a Linkuriboh with the Archosaur. Oviraptor, pop the Petite to reborn the Xeno Meteorus, triggering Petite to summon from the deck a Giant Rex. Linking off Linkuriboh into the Secure Gardna so we could use the Double Evolution Pill with the Linkuriboh to banish to summon an Ultimate Conductor Tyranno from the deck. We're going to pop our card to summon from the deck a Frostosaurus to make the double negate Lars. Double negate, and if you have 2 Lars, that's 4 negates. Banishing from the grave the Giant Rex and the Linkuriboh to summon an Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which will then trigger the Giant Rex to summon itself onto the field. To then we can make a Dulka. Dulka double monster negate, Lars double negate, Conductor Tyranno, flip the entire opposing field face down. Petite could summon a Pancratops for another disruption. Let's go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 disruption. Return the baby back onto the field. How do we plan through the 6 disruption? Darkblade, negated, and destroyed. Now we have Tatsu, which will then get negated and destroyed. And that is it for Memento. Okay, I'm sorry. Lars, negate, and we're done. We are completely done. We do have the Fracture Dance, which is activatable to pop 1 card in the field. That's all we have, and now we can't use it because our monster's face down. And let's now speed this up. Nope, we scooping. Very well done, Memento. You tried. You did well, my friend. I'm proud of you. Thank you very much, Kaido. You inspired me to want to add Sprite Elf into my extra, so good job. So good job, Shankers. Thank you, Kaido. Let's hop into the next match. Discard Turbulence to come forth and summon our Diablo Star. The opponent has no hand traps whatsoever, so we could speed this up, setting up an Original Sinful. Original Sinful, send Diablo Star to come forth and summon for the deck our Hydrant. We're going to trigger the Fire Attacker, come forth and summon as the Hydrant searches for the Lifter. Lifter is going to be searching for the Rescue. As we then further link this up into SP Little Knight. We're going to rescue our Turbulence, activate to play around Imperm or Veiler with the Little Knight on the field, setting up to 4 cards in the deck. Now, this trap is rarely used. Reinforce will protect your Rescue Ace monster from being destroyed by battle or card effect, right? Unaffected from monster effects is another effect, and then the next time it would be destroyed, it's not destroyed. Interesting. It also gets a boost, 1500 attack and defense. And the Hydrant does not give it an additional benefit, it looks like. Okay. Alert. Alerting to our hand from the deck because we control the Hydrant, grabbing a Preventer. Preventer come forth, banishing from the grave. And now we end our turn with triple disruption. We could flip face down, we could pop, we could negate. Hero lives, come forth and summon from the deck. Stratos on summon, activate to search our deck. We are not negating. Varus is going to discard a hero to come forth and summon That will trigger the Shadow Mist to search our deck for a hero as the Ferris is triggered to set up an increase into the back row from the deck. And we do have an increase in the hand, so hopefully we still have another one in the deck. We do. Grabbing another Stratos. We have not committed to our normal summon. Used up one of our Disruption. Little Knight is also another Disruption, so we had 4 Disruption, not 3. We're now using the SP Little Knight to chain banish itself and the Stratos. Now, the Stratos we targeted is no longer on the field, so the Little Knight will stay on the field and will not banish itself. We're now using Extinguish to pop the other Stratos on field. We're going to chain Mass Change to dodge the Extinguish to come forth and summon. Ooh, this, what? What are we doing here? Huh? This Stratos activated. We're containing this Stratos. We're activating Mass Change. Contains it from what? The monster cannot be used as a material. The Mass Change does not use it as a material for a fusion. It sends it to the graveyard. So send it to the grave is not using it as a material. So that does not work. But yeah, that does not work. This is doing nothing. Containing that Stratos, but we're still sending it for Mass Change. For the Hero Blast. Yup. Okay, on summon, we could target a body on the field to then reduce a monster. And what just happened here, the back row is destroyed because of the other Stratos, which was tributed by the increase, is popping per other hero that's not the Stratos itself that activated, which is the increase and the Hero Blast itself. So 2 cards, non-target, pop 2. Goodbye to the back row. And I mean, guess we knew that that was gonna, so before someone's like, oh my gosh, what a dummy. We could know that the Contain was gonna die anyway through the Stratos, right? And so I guess we were just using it to use it because it would get popped otherwise. Turbulence is triggering because a card was popped while it's on the field, which was not itself. So it's going to pop another card in the field, target and destroy. Reinforce has the effect to set a card from the graveyard. Sure. And the Hydrant allows a newly set card to be activated the turn it was set. So that is something. We could rescue steal a card from the opponent's graveyard if we want to. Impulse chaining to a monster activating on the field to send a hero from the deck to the grave. We're going to use the Master Hero Blast to spin the Reinforce in the back row back to the hand, activating it before it is done to steal the Shadow Mist. Come to me, Shadow Mist. Okay. Impulse summoning from the deck, another Turbulence. It is a hard once per turn if another card leaves the field through a card effect to then destroy a card in the field. Buy-in banishing with the graveyard to grab from our deck a second copy of Polymerization. Malicious banishing from the grave, come forth and summon from the deck another Malicious. We're going to further link up this field into Cross Crusader, which could reborn a Destiny hero, then send the Destiny hero to search our deck for any hero. Get sended after reborning to search our deck for a Liquid Soldier. If used for Fusion Summon, we're going to draw 2, discard 1. An opportunity to grab a Mass Change off the top of our deck here as the Sunrise searches for a Miracle Fusion. Liquid Soldier trigger, putting the Sunrise in a higher chain link, so it's going to resolve backwards, add Miracle Fusion so we don't randomly draw the Miracle Fusion, resolve, draw 2. We drew into a triple tactics talent, that's pretty good. Little Knight has already activated, so she's stuck on the field. Returning the only card in the hand back in the deck, reinforce the army. I think we're flaming on for this. I think so. This is something. Let's go. Polymerise, using a card on the field in hand to come forth and summon. DP to the E. Non-target pop a card in the field. Further showconning this up into a Decimator, which gives us piercing battle damage. Oh boy. Banishing a ton of cards from the graveyard. What the heck is this? Wake up, your elemental hero is here. Can attack every single body in the field with piercing battle damage, but boost with the elemental hero Honest Neos. Piercing battle damage, 8,000 attack. And we didn't even need to attack into any other monster. Lethal damage. You are the real Jaden. We're going to airlift off versus no hand traps whatsoever, grabbing a rescue to then send the airlifter for our Diablo Star. Let's speed this up. One, two, three, 4, 5 disruptions. No Promethean Princess. Let's go. We played through 5. Harpy Feather Duster, wiping out that back row. We're going to reinforce the Turbulence, making it unaffected from monster effects and by boosting it. We just lost 2 of our disruptions, 2. We still have Impulse on Preventer, we have Veiler, we have Little Knight, we have triple disruption. Veiler negate, first we're gonna use Impulse. Do we then chain Veiler? No, we don't. So Impulse gonna summon a Preventer. Preventer will flip a card in the field face Attacker to draw more hand traps, not Preventer. So now we have 2 disruption. The Attacker's triggering from you adding a card to draw 2 discard, but we're gonna use Droplet to negate. Not only negate you, but negate the Little Knight and the Attacker. Thus, we have 1 disruption left, just the effect Veiler. We have the Reinforce, which will, hey, you know what? The Reinforce is kind of anti-Harpy Feather Duster, so I actually miscount the disruptions. It does give another form of disruption by being able to reset a trap from the graveyard and then make it usable that turn. But it actually only sets a spell. So it's still not really a disruption. So we're just gonna count the effect Veiler as disruption. We have Rescue, which will be activatable to steal a card from the opponent's graveyard. Varus is here, activate, Veiler, negate. 0 disruption left. We do have the Rescue to steal a card from their graveyard, which we'll see if that is disruptive in any way. Vian sending from the deck to the grave, Malicious. We are going to, we're not gonna Rescue steal Malicious, are we? Okay. We are. Wait, we're reborning Preventer instead of stealing from their graveyard, so we are gonna use it to summon a Disruptor on the field. Correction. Now we have 1 disruption. Very nice. Would it have been better to yoink a card from their grave instead? Cross Crusader to reborn a monster from the graveyard. Now, if we read this, it says, not that one, this one, tribute a Destiny Hero. So would it be beneficial to flip down the Destiny Hero before they could tribute it? You could still tribute it. It's still going to be a Destiny Hero you tribute, so you don't flip it down with the Preventer. So what do we prevent? We're going to grab the Liquid Soldier, Malicious Banish, summon from the deck another Malicious. We're going to further link this up into a Devicer. Devicer is going to be revealing a Neos Fusion to grab an Elemental Hero Neos. Polymerization, activate to fuse with the hand to come forth and summon Elemental Hero Sunrise, which will be triggering to grab a Miracle Fusion as the Liquid triggers to draw 2, discard 1. This is big. What can we draw into? Definitely Miracle Fusion. Now draw 2, mash change. Fusion Destiny, what a top deck off the top of the deck. Miracle Fusion, banishing from the graveyard to come forth and summon absolute 0. If this were to leave the field, it's gonna wipe out the entire opposing field, and that's exactly what's happening right now, linking off the absolute 0 into a Wonder Driver. Trigger the absolute 0, banish everything on the, not banish, but destroy it all. Now, before being destroyed, the Sunrise will be flipped face down. Everything but the Turbulence got destroyed because it's protected through the Reinforce, triggering its effect to pop another card in the field. But we are further playing into Come Forth, DPE. This is fully unaffected for the whole turn. So, damn, that's pretty good. We're gonna have to pop it within the draw phase. Yes, standby? No. We're not popping it? We're waiting with DPE? Is Reinforce reinforcing it forever? It's gotta be just for the turn, right? Target for the rest of the turn, it's unaffected. Okay. Since TCG Unlimited Malicious, is it possible to... Yes, it is of course possible. Anything that happens within the TCG and OCG, Master Duel can and will copy. Like Engage. Engage has to be unlimited on the next Boundless announcement. It's gotta be. We're gonna come forth and summon from the deck our Air Lifter, Liftoff, grabbing our Rescue Ace HQ, which will return 4 cards in the graveyard and are banished back on the deck to draw 1 here. Go back you go. Off the top of the deck, Reinforce from the army, grabbing an Airlifter. We do have the field spell for the effect to additionally normal summon a Rescue Ace from the hand, as we now make an IP Masquerena. Masquerena and the Hydrant to Shokan into our Promethean Princess. Promethean activating to reborn our Turbulence from the graveyard. As we then, within the end phase, DPE get poppin'. We're gonna chain Impulse to summon from the deck in response to a monster activating on the field. Summoning a Preventer. DPE, popping itself, plus the Turbulence, wipe it out, activate to then reborn during the next standby phase. Now, this Preventer is preventing nothing, but it still allows us to use the Extinguish to extinguish 1 card on the field, 1 monster we destroy. DPE, come forth, DPE, activate, extinguish, get extinguishing, pop in the DPE, thus the DPE will have to pop the Sunrise. taking out another card in the field. Taking out Preventer. By taking out Preventer can trigger to reborn a banished card, but there is nothing banished to summon. We have Denier activating to reborn itself from the graveyard to activate to return the Malicious that is banished back into the deck. Thus, the Malicious in the graveyard can pretend that the card is unlimited, banishing itself to summon that Malicious return back in the deck back onto the field to then make a Cross Crusader. Are we going to get Nibiru? Very likely. We're going to be reborning the Denier, Tribute Denier, to search our deck for a Ferris. Ferris will discard the Plasma to come forth and summon, activate to equip into the back row our Increase, Tribute Ferris, come forth and summon, activate summon from the deck, a Vian. Vian, activate on summon, send a Shadow Mist. Vian's going to banish from the graveyard to then grab from our deck a Polymerization. We waiting for the end of the main phase or what? Dread Decimator is here to battle we go. It's not enough for lethal damage, so we're not going to activate Nibiru. We're chilling. Okay, fine. Well, Promethean was stopping us from Nibiruing the whole time. And by dealing with the Promethean Princess, we could now Nibiru. Thank you. That's why we didn't Nibiru. Oh, 1,200 defense token. Oh, boy. But DPE still coming back every turn. DPE, non-target, pop the field spell before it activates. You could wait for it to activate. We have the emergency, setting a card from the graveyard into our back row, but that's not activatable. That does nothing. And, oh my gosh, what the hell just happened? 3,500 over the Ash as the DPE lethals over the Nibiru, thus Rescue Ace losing and getting knocked out by heroes. Jaden advancing to the top 8. Grand Magus, good job. Bro, you cooked for 10 minutes plus for an SP Little Knight? Huh? Promethean's not even triggerable? What is this? This is the new Infernoble combo? 10 minutes to end on Little Knight? Okay. Max C. Oh my gosh. Finger the Imseti. That's an expensive finger. It's also an expensive Ash. The Imseti loses itself plus the other card just to get Ash or Finger. That's a huge downside in addition to the Max C. Sharon's simply bigger than the ultimate one-turn combo of ending on SP Little Knight by attacking over it. Ending the turn, we have Reinforcing the Army off the top of our deck. Museum Burn for 1,200, Heartbeat to stop the search. By spinning the Museum back into the deck you go. What can we do off of a Reinforcement of the Army? Perform a Trick Clown when sent to the grave, reborns itself back onto the field, reinforcing our hand with the Magus. Magus could draw a card, right? Equipping onto the Magus, Turpin, equipping onto the Special Summoning if you have an equipped card onto a monster on the field. So there we go. We do have plays. Making Isold number 2. On the second copy of the Isold, we are going to be triggering the Magus when sent to the graveyard to return cards back in the deck. We're now going to be chaining the Isold also to it, so we are going to be drawing in response to this effect. This is the search. This is the draw. We can't even summon that. We're going to send one equipped card to special summon Ricardetto. Ricardetto on summon, reborning from the graveyard. Ogier on summon, sending a Turpin from the deck to the grave, which we already activated its effect to summon itself onto the field, now making a Roland. Roland is here. We're going to be activating the Roland to send an equipped card from the deck to the graveyard if we had it. We're going to be equipping the Magus onto the Roland, wiping out the field, and I don't think we have any disruption whatsoever. Yeah, this is nothing. The Magus is giving the ability of cannot be destroyed by battle. Wow, very powerful. Too much for Tearlament to overcome. Lemon has surrendered to Infernoble. Ooh, we got red rebooting. We rebooting. All right, let's do it. Red reboot being a counter trap, so it actually does counter crime. Crime's known for nothing really being able to respond to it. Ash Blossom negating the reinforcement of the army. Is that correct to do? I already got that Rhino Heart in my hand. I'm SETI, discarding the Grief to then grab the King Sark to randomly draw a card also in addition to that. The Ash onto the I'm SETI would have been much more impactful. The Triva Karma banishing to grab from our deck a Tearlament field spell. It is a Vsauce card. We now have the King Sark to reborn the I'm SETI from the graveyard. We have the Tearlament field spell grabbing a Tearlament Kashtira from the deck to our hand. If we're afraid of a Nibiru, we send Happy to reborn Happy to then make the Photon Lord. Otherwise, if we don't care about Nibiru, we make a Zombie Vampire instead. Mill 4 cards off of both players' decks, then reborn a monster among those 8 cards. Scores inverted, thank you. So let's set this up. Let's talk about our disruptions now. Now, this has some weird effects. If another card leaves, then you get to draw cards up to the number of monsters with different names in your main monster zone. What? It leaves by card effect, draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards? Okay. Baron to floor, negate anything. SP Little Knight, banish. Rukalis, negate a special summon. Fenrir, banish a face-up card. Field spell, pop a card in the field. Sulliek, negate a monster. And we have the Meta Noise, flip a card face down, then trigger a fusion summon. We have about 8 disruptions, and I don't think we have anything else hiding in the graveyard here. We have a Mudora, which could trigger the field spell, so that's kind of part of the disruption there of being able to use it whenever we want. We do have the Red Reboot, which will turn off all the traps for the rest of the turn. That's going to be huge. Setting up the Museum to then search for the Durendal. Durendal equipping onto the Baron de Floor to then pop it to search our deck for a Draco Slayer. Okay. Setting up the Pendulum Scales, getting ready to Pendulum Shokan. This is Infernoble, Draco Slayer. Come forth and summon from the hand. Majesty Pegasus searching for a field spell. And then discarding a card after searching it. Fenrir being triggered to banish the Oliver off of the field. We're going to pop both of our Pendulum Scales to search for the Sublimination Knight. SP Little Knight, banishing the Sublimination so you can't equip the little squeak onto it. Be gone. Can you please activate a trap? I have a Red Reboot for nothing. Game 3. Wanted Seeker in the draw phase, playing around a Droll and Lockbird, grabbing a Diablo Star from our deck. We have simply just an Ash Blossom. When do we Ash? The original Sinful, probably the best Ash. The Angelica, whether you want to or not, is going to each turn negate the effect of your opponent's first spell card or effect that resolves. So the first thing to activate, you activate Scream, then it tries to negate it, and then it does not care. So that actually counters it. But you could use the Emperor Charles the Great to negate the activation. It does negate the activation, right? Let me read this. You are going to, let me read this effect. It is the original name, equip, when a spell trap card, send an equip card, negate the activation. So that would be good. We also have the negate an effect. We can equip onto this to pop a card. So let's talk about the disruptions. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 disruption. Let's go. It's Screaming, negate the activation, negate. Max C on top of that, mates. And the Angelica will negate Super Poly. So you gotta be careful about that. Now, the Scream, you can only use each effect once per turn. We could activate another copy, which will screw up the Angelica ring before committing to the Super Poly. Scream being triggered, that is actually gonna be negated by the Angelica ring, right? Yes, the effect of a spell card that resolves is going to be negated. The Super Poly will no longer be negated. We just have 2 disruption as we discard the Sharon, and now we have 0 disruption. Yup, we lost all our disruption for a Garura. Garura is here. Fenrir activating to search for a Tearlament Kashtira, activating our second copy of Scream, which really screwed up their disruption. Banishing with the graveyard the Scream as the Tearlament Kashtira activates to mill. We are milling 6, which we're now milling only 3 because the Ash is negating. Now the Fenrir will trigger to banish a card on the field face down. Mill 3, milling the Rhino Heart, which will not be triggering since we have no Tearlament in the hand to discard. We have the Trick Clown to reborn. We're going to use the Roland to target the Angelica to chain the Angelica to send a card from the deck to the grave and banish to then summon another Roland. Do we play another Roland? I guess we don't. What are we doing? We're just scooping? I think so. We have to battle we go, wiping out the Ice Sold, open field, 3,000 damage on the attack, not enough for game, but with Fairy Tale Snow, that is enough for game. Banishing 7 cards from the field and or grave, lethal damage. Nicely done. What happened with the Angelica play there? What were we doing? Okay, we were targeting her anyway, and then it got chain link blocked from chaining. So we didn't lose her by our own effect. We were losing her to the Fenrir, so we decided to use our own effect anyway. Yeah, okay. And had we had another copy of Roland in our extra deck, which we probably don't have room for, I think we maybe would have barely survived. Good job, Tearlament, knocking out Infernoble. Let's keep on going. Opening up with our special summoned Fenrir as we have the Scareclaw field spell, searching for the right card. Normal summon, activate to search. We're not negating with the Ash. What are we holding the Ash for? Special summon the Ball before we link off the Lightheart. Lightheart searching for not another field spell since we have just one, it looks like. We're going to Arrival, Reborn the right card. Shokan into Anaconda. You cannot Ash the Anaconda. It sends the card from the deck to the grave by cost. We're going to banish for a Magna Hut, further Shokaning into an Excel Start a Synchro. Excel Start a Synchro, reborning the Meek to then Shokan into a Baron Difflor. Okay, then we're going to use the Anaconda, sending a Branded Fusion to go straight into Mirror Jade. Non-target monster banish. Omni negate, banish a face-up card face down, Ash negate, and because the Albaz is not returned back to the deck, it's not banished, it's in the grave, you send a Rinbrum to then reborn the Albaz to fuse the opponent's field, that is, so it's a 5th disruption if we play Rinbrum, which we do. Of course we do, so 5 disruption. Set 3 end? Yeah. All right, well, we had nothing to negate, nothing to banish. We got the Ash Blossom ready to negate the Welcome Labrynth or the Big Welcome. Ash, negate the Welcome Labrynth mate. Now, we do have that Daruma Cannon ready to flip down the entire opposing field face down. The problem with the Daruma Cannon is it's going to be good against Mirror Jade and Fenrir because they change their battle position. If the monster has already been on the field for a turn and they do not change their battle position, you flip them down, you flip them right back up. So the Baron de Flor can be flipped back up, but the other 2 cannot. Just like that, Daruma, but the Baron de Flor will negate. No flip down for you. We do have Big Welcome Labrynth ready to summon, then add back to the hand. We do have the Coup Clock. So we're going to discard that to then... Why didn't we clock first? I guess we didn't want to do that. We don't want to activate the card on the field. We're going to be using the transaction rollback to flip down the entire opposing field, activating Daruma Cannon for a second time. Now, because there's 3 bodies on the field that are in defense, we could, within the ignition effect of main phase 1 or 2, we could pop any card in the field, taking out that Big Welcome Labrynth. Reinforcing the army, getting negated by Ash Blossom. Negate. All right. She has got headphones in and she's listening to the show, so I have to yell just to get her attention. Coup Clock, making the Big Welcome activatable to return itself back to the hand, triggering the Torbia to summon, triggering the Welcome Labrynth to set itself onto the field. Now, the Bestial Druiswarm cannot chain banish because there's no body on the field. So what you had to do in response to the Big Welcome activated onto the Coup Clock, you would need to chain the Druiswarm before the Torby activates, knowing that they're trying to activate the Torby. We're going to Coup Clock, discard, activate the effect of the regular Welcome to summon from the deck a lovely Labrynth. Lovely Labrynth is here, attacking into the Baron de Flor here, banishing the Coup Clock from the opposing player's grave. We're going to then main phase 2, reset up our Daruma cannon as the Torby sends itself plus the Nibiru to set up a Welcome Labrynth into our back row. We have to possibly make a play before the planet is activatable, before the Baron de Flor flips back up. What are we doing? The regular Welcome Labrynth is, we got Daruma. Oh my goodness. What is the play? What is the play? Big Welcome, spin back the Mirror Jade before it's flipped back up, triggering the Labrynth to then pop the Baron de Flor before it's flipped up. So there you go. Just like that, the non-target monster banish and the Omni negate are gone. Torby is going to be summoning itself back onto the field. Lovely, wiping out that Baron de Flor. Could flip up that Fenrir though. We have the Vsauce pop in the Jerusalem, trigger the Jerusalem to send the Lovely to the graveyard. As she goes, we're going to use the Lightheart Reborn from the grave if we have a Vsauce Starfrost, as we're then going to follow up using the Welcome Labrynth to summon an Ariana from the deck, activating the Search Our deck for a Lady. Daruma's going to flip down the Vsauce, sending the Lightheart to the graveyard, all before we even flipped up our Fenrir. Using the field spell to take out the back row. To battle we go, wiping out the Ariana with our Fenrir. Nothing to search with the Fenrir. We don't have Scareclaw, Kashtira. No, really? We have Torby sending itself plus the Maxi to set up from the deck our big Welcome Labrynth. With no clock in the graveyard, it's not going to be triggering to summon itself onto the field to make that big Welcome activatable. Now, with the Lady, we need something to chain link block the Lady from activating in response to the big Welcome. We have no quick effect in sight in order to do that. So she will be chaining, she will be setting, she will be untargetable from the Fenrir. Let's go. All right. Set up into the back row a new trap, the Dogmatica Punishment. Summon from the deck or grave. We're going to return back the Lady, which will trigger the Fenrir to target the Lovely, as the Lovely also triggers to pop a card on the field or in the hand, as the Torby also triggers and the Welcome Labrynth triggers to set itself onto the field, as the Torby also gets summoned. All right. There's no clock, so these cards are not activatable. Goodbye to the in-hand Planet Calarium, which would be searching for a Mannadium card, and generally a Labrynth player plays just one Lovely. So she's gone from the game for good. Over. On the attack, we have Lady blocking the Fenrir at 2800 defense. As we now have the Dogmatica Punishment, chaining the Lady to the Dogmatica Punishment to set up another trap from the deck. We're doing this within the draw phase, so the Pata E is still activatable as long as it's the first thing we do within the main phase. Sending the Entis to then trigger its effect to pop another card in the field, taking out the 3100 attack Starfrost. As the Welcome Labrynth triggers and the Torby keeps on triggering. Remember when we had that opportunity to Jerusalem banish the Torby? That same Torby keeps on reborning. So that moment, by waiting for it to trigger, by then the Jerusalem is not a quick effect to banish on its trigger, that really screwed us up. Lady to the face, Welcome Labrynth from the deck. Ariana is now here on summon, searching our deck for the Chandelier. We are attacking. On the attack, Torby discard the Chandelier to set up the Labrynth field spell. Not enough for lethal, of course, but we're going to flip up that field spell, now giving our regular Welcome Labrynth the ability to non-target pop a card in the field. Plus we could flip down, plus we could negate, plus we could negate again. And just like that, Labrynth taking the game. End phase Max C. Ash, negate the Max C. You will not be drawing one during your end phase. And let's now wrap this up. Speed it up, scoop it up. Labrynth taking game 1. Nicely done to both of you. Set the ball pass. If destroyed by battle or card effect, it will summon another ball from the deck. Now, this is a lot different than a Mannadium deck setting and passing. This is actual real play. We're going to activate the big Welcome to special summon from the deck within the end phase, that Maxi drawing within the end phase. What we summon will be returned back to our hand promptly, so we're going to be summoning Ariana to then return back Ariana to the normal summon Ariana during the next turn. Lovely, something you generally do not want in your hand. We're going to be searching for an Arius. Arius is going to be discard to special summon our Lovely from the hand, but she will actually get fingered by the Call to the Grave. Butler negated. No Lovely from the hand. Damn. That kind of messed us up. We really wanted that Lovely out. And we're not big enough to take out a ball? Really? Ariana too small. Maxi on the flip of the Droll and Lockbird, as we expect them to be link summoning here, as they do into the Anaconda. We have Imperm for the Anaconda, or we could use... Wait, we are Imperming. We could Daruma instead before it activates. Negate the Anaconda mate. No fusion summon into Mirror Jade. As we further link this up, aren't we under Max C into a Little Knight on summon, banish a card on the field, taking out the Daruma cannon, and I mean, we could just dodge it. Yup, we dodging. It was gonna get banished anyway, so why not? Imperm negate. We're gonna flip down the Ariana, send the Little Knight to the grave, be gone. Just like that. All to get rid of that annoying Little Knight. Now, with the Lovely in our hand, what are our plays? We have the Butler, which she was fingered 2 turns ago, discarding herself to then special summon or set a trap and making it activatable the turn it's set. What are we choosing to do here? We are going with that lovely Labrynth, which will be recycling a normal trap every single turn. Recycling the Daruma cannon. To the face we go, 1629. Are you all okay with the fact that not okay, I thought we were gonna return back the Ariana to pop a card from the hand. Nope, we're gonna Ariana, triggered by the Lovely being returned to activate to draw a card here. Butler being triggered in response to an Ash to the Ariana to draw a card to summon itself onto the field, which we are still under Max C. Anyway, what I was gonna say is, oh my gosh, it's lethal. Let's say it while I'm still here. The Daruma has replaced Dimension Barrier, and also replacing the Deck Devastation virus, the Eradicator one. So that is crazy. And a lot of you could say, well, it's because of Snake Eyes. Well, Poplar's banned in this event, and Daruma is still quite impactful here. And with that said, Butler for game. On the initial announcement of Daruma, did anyone really speak of how good the card would be, how impactful it would be, how prevalent and relevant it would be in a deck like Labrynth? Thank you, YouTube, for watching the top 16. We'll be advancing to the top 8 grand finale and top deck list. In the next video, you'll be seeing Salamangreat versus Rescue Ace. Do not miss it. Let's go.